FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it is 11/21/19. Well, if you've been watching the new claims for unemployment, the one number in Washington that never or hasn't yet been manipulated, new claims for unemployment insurance are down 8,000 to near generational lows, perhaps bi-generational lows. We're going back 50, 60 years before we've seen numbers like this when the workforce was far smaller. Only 211,000 new claims for unemployment insurance for the week ended November 2nd. Pretty amazing. And even with upward revisions, the numbers are still exceedingly low, which leads you to wonder how much longer can this party continue on? And what's your opinion? Where do you think the unemployment rate is heading? Where's it going to be in 4 months, 6 months, a year? Just email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. And don't forget, whether you're on YouTube or on a podcast platform, however you're listening to this, please subscribe, like, share, comment. We answer all comments. It really helps us a lot when you do that. So Brad Williams is with us now. Brad, I've been wondering about this. Probably you out there have been wondering as well. You know, we keep hearing the economy is soft, but why should jobs be expanding? Is this a result of unemployment? What's going on here?
Well, of course, cheap money helps. And there's a lot of pent-up housing demand. And so we're seeing a lot of movement in that arena, you know, where construction is up. Because after the Great Recession, you know, there was so much supply, and then that supply got eaten up, and now they're starting to need more supply. So that's part of it. And people are just feeling good, although I think a lot of people are looking over their shoulder, wondering when the storm's coming. But people are still clicking along. So as long as the market keeps going up, that's the key thing. And if they keep interest rates low, it's the only game in town for somebody with money.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention the foreign money pouring in to the country. You know, you see it, China, evidently Japan has very favorable rules for Chinese investors, and they can buy a home there with no government approval, anything, and just camp out in Japan. And it's not that much harder for them to do it in the U.S. And look, people in China have been smuggling money out of that country for thousands of years. They're pretty adept at it. It's kind of like in the U.S., cheating on your taxes, the national pastime. In China, the national pastime is getting your money out of what is a very corrupt system, even more corrupt than the United States. Hard to believe. And all the nonsense going on in Hong Kong right now. Not nonsense, but it's legitimate rioting going on and protest and crackdowns, and yet they haven't been able to stop it. So, and multiply this times dozens of countries out there, Brad, where they've got social unrest. So as bad as the U.S. might be, and I laughingly refer to it, the U.S. dollar, the U.S. economy as the Taj Mahal of Baltimore, where else are you going to put your money, right?
Yeah, and I've often said when you look at the economic laundry basket of the world, the United States is still just the cleanest dirty shirt in the hamper.
Same difference, right? Same difference. And
you were mentioning about foreigners buying houses. In Huntsville, I just had a meeting with a client who's very big into investment properties, and they were saying that the market here in Huntsville, Alabama, is smoking, and a lot of it is coming from foreign money. They see the growth. The homes compared to the rest of the country here are rather fair priced, and so there's a lot of good bargains. And you got people moving from states that have, just huge difference in cost of house, the cost of housing. And so we're seeing it here. I don't know that it's everywhere, but we're seeing it here, and we're seeing construction pick up. Yeah.
And well, construction never recovered to its pre-recession highs, the 2006 highs, where you really had major, million new homes a year. And a lot of the new housing is multifamily apartments, et cetera. So the numbers can be a little bit deceiving, but nonetheless, there seems to be an uptick taking place.
Well, and I think it's also an attitude that people are wanting to get back to work, because when you get a president like Trump who encourages work, you usually get more of it. What you encourage or what you subsidize, you get more of. What you penalize, you get less of. And when you're under a president that expands the role of welfare and all, then you have people getting out of the workforce. So we're seeing companies move to Huntsville because of the cost of living and the quality of life, and moving out of some of the northeastern states. And so, here we see it good, but you still, when is it, there's got to be a downturn. So from 2009, we've seen the stock market skyrocket, and historically we're long in the tooth.
Yeah, we're definitely long in the tooth. And I'm just reminded of an old saying that the market can remain irrational far longer than you can remain solvent. And so, it's a bad idea to bet against it, right? Trying to catch a falling knife.
You're exactly right. So, where are we going? I don't know, but we got an election coming up, and any number of things can happen. The Democrats have tried to skewer the president for the last 3 years and haven't succeeded in doing so.
Yeah, how's that working out for him? I mean, the impeachment
not real
farce.
Well, from what I'm seeing in the polls and everything else. But
have you watched the impeachment at all?
What's that?
Have you watched the so-called impeachment hearings at all?
I've watched parts of it, and it is just. What a tremendous waste of taxpayer money this is.
Yeah, it makes me long for the days when you used to get the Sears catalog. So, you had something to look at here, because there's just nothing to see there.
You're exactly right. And it's all drama that was tried to played out to drive public opinion. And I think it's going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So, a lot can happen in the next year. But as long as the president stays strong, I think the economy is going to continue to look good, simply because we actually have a businessman in the White House who's making the kind of policy decisions that a CEO would make, and not a politician that really doesn't suffer much repercussions from his bad decisions, except losing his job as one politician and going into another office.
Yeah, well, it makes you really want to sweep the whole bunch of the useless people out of office. One thing you got to be grateful for Trump for is we've always suspected, always known deep in our hearts that there was a deep state, but now Trump has really proven it, huh?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Today's show is brought to you by U.S. Gold Corp. U.S. Gold Corp is a U.S.-focused gold exploration and development company advancing high-potential projects in Wyoming and Nevada. U.S. Gold Corp has consolidated a district on Nevada's productive Cortex Trend and is advancing the Copper King project towards production in Wyoming. Led by a team of prolific company builders and renowned explorers, including Dave Mathewson, who is directly responsible for several major Nevada gold discoveries. U.S. Gold Corp is well-capitalized and has an extremely tight share structure with less than 20 million shares outstanding and trades on the NASDAQ, a major exchange, under the ticker symbol USAU. To learn more, go to usgoldcorp.gold. That's usgoldcorp.gold.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens. When you turn the lights on in the middle of the night and all the cockroaches are scurrying around, you get to see where they are, and that's basically what we're seeing. I mean, they played their hand so heavy that it's hard to retract it now.
It would really be entertaining. It is entertaining. I got to tell you, I really have gotten a great laugh from it. But, it is coming at some cost, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And when we think about the tremendous amount of taxpayer money that all of these lawyers and all these committee people and all this time that they're going through, and you think of the private cost when they call a witness who's got to go hire a lawyer.
It could be devastating.
I tell you what, if you're looking for a high profile lawyer in Washington right now, you're in bad shape because they're all taken.
Well, you know what they say, if you want a friend in Washington, you better get a dog. And they're proving that one, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah. And, unfortunately, many of those dogs have fleas, but well, when you lie down with dogs, right? So, but we're not really talking just about politics here, who's right, who's wrong, just that because maybe if the economy was weaker, the attacks upon the president might have more traction. But we know from the past with Clinton during his impeachment, like, the economy's fine, leave the guy alone. And really, we're kind of in the same situation here, aren't we? Pretty much, except for in one, in that case, he actually did break the law, lost his law license, paid a fee. Had a lot of repercussions from it, whereas Trump really hadn't done anything except show up.
Yeah, too much.
The fact of the matter is they can't beat him anywhere else, so they're trying to beat him here, and they're not doing a real good job doing that.
And he's a mortal threat to the deep state and to the administrative state. We actually have less federal employees. That's a first. Not enough less, but he's pushing them out of D.C., and we've got a regulatory rollback like we've never seen the likes of. Can you imagine in the second term, assuming there is one, what could happen then?
Yes, and when you really think about a president, it's not that presidents create a great economy or a bad economy. It's that they either put up roadblocks to a good economy or they take them down.
Yeah. And
what I see Trump doing is he's taking them down. He's reducing regulations, which are nothing more than a hidden tax. Sometimes not so hidden. And he's reduced taxes. He's made it a good word. Work is now a good word again. And, part of it, too, is when people see the trends there, they know that, it's like when the states have changed welfare. And you reach to the point where at the end of it, you go back, all of a sudden, so many people find a job. It's like when somebody goes on unemployment insurance. It's amazing what happens when that runs out, how they all of a sudden found a job.
Yeah, well, Milton Friedman summed it up the best. He said that unemployment insurance was the most successful program ever created in America because it ensures that we'll have unemployment. And, because look, like, you can't really live on unemployment, but for many of you out there, if you wind up unemployed and you're getting $500, $1,000 a week, it can extend the time period for which you'll be unemployed looking for that perfect job. Now, maybe that is a good thing, that people aren't desperate to get back to work after they get laid off. But on the other hand, is that government's job to be doing that? And the cost of administration, I wonder how many food stamp administrators have lost their jobs after 4 or 5 million people are no longer on food stamps. I mean, that could be really negative for the economy here, Brad.
Yeah, and of course, you remember Ms. Pelosi saying that unemployment insurance was one of the greatest economic stimulants.
Yeah.
Well. And one of the reasons we have the problems we have is we have politicians running the country who really are only good at getting reelected.
Yeah, they know absolutely nothing about economics. I once had a guy from Columbia University on, and he was trying to make the claim that food stamps create wealth. And I said, well, I guess we should all go on food stamps then and imagine how great the economy could be. And he goes, well, you're making fun of me. I said, well, not making fun of you. I'm making fun of your idea because it's absurd on its face. There is no possible way that giving out government benefits increases wealth. It diminishes wealth because government is not a good allocator of resources. And you know what happens when they pick winners and losers. Everybody loses.
That's right. Yeah, it's when you get involved in that degree, it is a negative thing. So again, I guess I fall back on the fact that we got somebody at the helm now. Whatever somebody thinks of his tweets or his queen's reactions to when people attack him. He's actually doing, get this, he's actually doing most of the stuff he promised he was going to do. Is that not a novel idea?
It's horrible. It's horrible to the deep state, right? It really is. It's a existential threat to the deep state, to the DS, as we say on the internets. And this is the real deal. Reagan did some great things, but he was never able to roll back the administrative state. In fact, he just slowed down the growth. This is a person who's actually turned back the hands and is actually doing this. That was something we, if you cared about limited government at all, you never believed was possible. So the question is, though, can he pull another rabbit out of the hat? The China deal is looking less possible because I think in large measure, they're really just trying to stay in power and figure out how not to let Hong Kong blow up and push them out. They're focused on the trade deal, but it's not working. And it just actually was really interesting. They don't have a deal, but because the pork flu is so bad in China, they're now importing chickens from the U.S., which they wrongfully barred 5 years ago because of the avian flu, which really never kind of took off, but they just kept the barrier to it. Now it's like, all right, we can't get enough pork. People are going to riot. We better do something. And now they're importing chickens. So the question is, what's going to run out first, the chicken or the eggs with China? And I find the whole thing fascinating. And that does have somewhat of an direct impact or indirect impact upon the United States.
And that's correct. Yeah. China is a huge market, but we've got to control the terms, and we just can't give it away anymore. And our negotiators have been terrible. They their goal has been to get a deal instead of getting a good deal, because there's a difference.
Like Iran.
It's yeah, and it's why one of the reasons the Soviet Union fell is Reagan had the guts to stand up and walk away from the table at Reykjavik, and then Gorbachev came back and they made a deal later on. So you got to push away from the table sometimes. It's not always about a deal. Sometimes it's about no deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I always say some of the best deals I ever made were the deals I never made. Right.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. So yeah, when you look back, sometimes the things you didn't buy or the things you didn't engage in were the best things that happened.
Yeah, so true. And hey, we could talk a lot about this. There's so many aspects of it, but my guess is the money's pouring out of D.C., whether it's free money from the Fed, whatever it might be. This thing will go on for a bit longer. Stock market will keep going up for a while longer. Is that the way you see it, at least till the end, till after the election?
Yes, I do. And in Europe, they're negative rates and near negative rates. And that's one of the reasons why our treasuries can't seem to come up to more normal levels. That's one thing I disagree with the president on. I think we need to have more normalized interest rates, because we're penalizing savers and benefiting risk takers
and killing insurance
we need a
companies.
good sound saving economy to have that foundation of savings and not just printed money.
Yeah, printed money, counterfeit money. you're starting to see the effects of it. I'll tell you, in New York City, the prices of everything are so unimaginably high. I mean, I'm in Palm Beach County, Florida. It's not exactly low rent district here, Brad, you know?
Right.
But in New York City, I mean, it is staggering. Like, you can't sit down for a dinner with two people, a decent dinner, for under $100, and that's without getting alcohol. So maybe that's for the better. I mean, the prices have just shot through the roof there, the rents, everything else. I mean, I'm almost looking at saying that New York City itself, and it's probably like Washington, Boston, and other cities, is approaching hyperinflation. You know, these prices are going up 15% a year. And there's no way to measure it, of course, because we just don't have the means of measuring inflation rates in narrow geographic areas. So it all gets spread out, and then it's somewhat deceiving. But things are happening there, and it's directly a result of the free money, the accommodative money policy. And, well, we're going to just have to see when this merry-go-round stops. Hopefully you won't be perched on the edge trying to get on, because you don't want to jump onto a merry-go-round that's about to stop, because you'll get slammed. Hey, Brad, if we want to find out more about you, where is your website? How do we connect with you through the web?
Just got a financial question? Ask bradwilliams.com.
All right. Hey, we've always got a link to that in the show notes. AskBradWilliams.com. That's the place to go. Questions, comments. Hey, send us an email. Let us know what you think about unemployment. Can it keep going down? Are the numbers real? Do you believe in the strength of the economy? All good questions. We'd love to know your thoughts on. Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com, Twitter feed @KerryLutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network, and our site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Brad, a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.